Okay, this is going to be messy. I'm going to be rambling. Bear with me. I really want to see how this is, how much time this takes. So I'm really going to try to pretend like I'm doing the webinar right now. Um, I'm going to probably say a lot. I'm not going to pay attention to that. Sorry about that. Bear with me. And then just so you can kind of see what I'm thinking right now might change. And I do want feedback from you if you have anything. Okay, so first slide, plain. Second slide, this is just going to have names, and it'll be in the order that we go. I just wrote this random order. We can decide the order. Whoever wants to go first can go first, last, whatever. You guys can fight it out. I don't care. The only thing would be like maybe if two of you are doing something really similar, we might not want to go back to back, but I don't know. There probably won't be anything like that. And sometimes like some of those important things are good to kind of hit home with repetition. So I don't even know if I want to say that. So anyway, let me figure all that out. Okay. Okay, so I will be talking during this slide. I'm not going to have you introduce yourself. You won't talk until it's actually your turn to go. Just a time thing. Okay. Okay, so now this is where I'm going to start getting into my spiel. Okay, so I have been part of many, many conversations over the past several years, close to a decade, regarding online education. And one of the things that I'm seeing is a huge shift in the conversation. So before we had this COVID emergency shutdown, there was some talk about making online classes more equitable, more student friendly, using a universal design for learning type of concepts. But there wasn't really a lot of conversation around that. Really, online classes were for a small subset of students. Those students self-selected. They knew what they were getting into. They had to choose it because of whatever things were going on in their lives. They were the type of students that were self-disciplined, resourceful, and I say lucky enough. And I use the word lucky because think about all of the different stories and different things that you know have happened to your students, your friends, your colleagues, everyone, everything that's happened this past year, and the fact that for many people, the planets have to align in order for them to make it through an 18-week semester. Their lives are so packed and set up in such a way, they have so many responsibilities, so many things going on, that one little piece, just thing, Jenga tile pulled out, and the whole thing collapses. And then obviously, as we know, college is expendable. It's the first thing to go, right? You can't drop your children. You can drop your college classes, but you can't drop your apartment, okay? So those are partially reasons why I say lucky, okay? Now, up until we had this shutdown in March, the success rates between online and face-to-face classes at Fresno City College were very close, statistically negligible. And, a big part of that reason is that the students are self-selecting. The students knew what they were getting into. There were some discussions, that we've had in the past about how to make these courses better, how to make them more student-friendly, using universal design for learning, for example. But they were sort of on the periphery, and these were kind of like extra things that you could do. And really the main discussions were about accessibility for students who have disabilities. But for everyone else, it was just like, you get what you get, and that's it, okay? Now that we're in this emergency shutdown, there is no choice. Everyone's online, everyone gets online classes. This is it, okay? Obviously, there are many, many unforeseen, unprecedented, blah, blah, blah challenges that are keeping students from doing what they normally would be able to do. So now the discussion is turning to how do we meet students where they are? How do we make these online classes more equitable environment? And so there are some things that we can do. The answer is not, or should I say, this is a work in progress. There is no 100%, perfectly equitable class. We're all making baby steps towards that. And we are all kind of hopefully on this journey together. Some of us are in different places on the path, but we're all kind of hopefully moving in the same direction for our students. And so what we're going to do today in this presentation is show you some of the things for our class, and hopefully this will demonstrate some of these equity principles that we're going to talk about. Okay, so speaking of the equity principles, these come from the Center for Urban Educational Syllabus Review. Now, the Center for Urban Education has been a partner of Fresno City College for the past few years. Many of you are probably familiar with that. One of the things that they have shared with us is their syllabus review. And it lists these 6 practices that you can employ in your syllabus. And we've had many workshops. In fact, there's Marian Valentino's doing a Flex Day presentation today on how to do a syllabus review. So this is a very, very abbreviated just summary of some of the things that she'll be talking about in that workshop. But this is kind of the outline of it. These are the things that we want to try to incorporate into our syllabus, and then by extension our class. So the reason that they focus on the syllabus review, of course, is because it is, the first thing that students see typically, kind of the first impression. If you think about like the first day of class, walking into to a classroom, you see the teacher for the very first time. It's the very first introduction lecture. That is kind of what a syllabus is for a course. And it becomes even more important when it's an online course, and that is one of the first things, probably the second thing, because the first thing is maybe that you might send out a welcome announcement or a welcome letter to the students, and then the syllabus might be the second thing that they see. So it's really, really important. It's a place where you really establish your tone, your presence in the class, what you expect, and how you expect it to be done, along with, of course, your policies. Okay. So let me just really quickly go through these, and then we'll get into the walkthroughs. Okay. The first one it talks about demystifying college policies and practices. And so if we think about first generation college students, some of these things they're not familiar with. Some examples might be office hours, finals week. They have no idea what that is. And so if you had a place where you were really explaining, a little short little video or a paragraph, just really like explaining, okay, what are office hours? Why do I have these days and times listed? I don't even have an office right now, but these are some times listed. What am I doing there? What are the expectations on me? Why do I have to do that? And then what's the purpose for students? Why are you getting this information? What are the expectations for students? Is it supposed to be there for you to go to? Is it supposed to be an optional thing? Is it required? How much is it required? All of that. Just breaking that down and explaining what the purpose of it is. That would be a way to demystify that. Again, finals week, that's something that students typically don't understand, if they've never been to college before. And then just beyond that, just using kind of student-friendly language. So language that is not, really dense and hard to understand when you're giving instructions for things. So there's no, um, you know, um, um, so really being aware of when you are talking to students, and you really want them to understand what to do, that you're not putting an extra barrier in the way of them understanding. And when you're making your videos or your little messages to them, that it is more clear with more student-friendly language. Okay, welcoming students and creating a classroom culture in which they feel cared for. Um, Typical ways of doing this are making a welcome letter, welcome video at the beginning of the semester, at the beginning of each week to, introduce the new topics, having kind of a warmer tone, showing your personality as a human being, the fact that you care about them, and making that explicitly come across. Okay. Um, this is not an easy thing to do on uh, in an online class, right? So this is something that you really have to be explicit about. You really have to make sure, if that's your intention, that you're thinking about your tone and that you are thinking about how you come across to students. Okay, especially in those first welcome videos and messages that you send them, because that's your first impression. Okay, validating students' ability to be successful. Um, that can be doing things like actually sending out kudos to individual students. There's some really easy way to do that from the grade book in Canvas. When students do, get a certain score, you can send something to everyone that did a great job and just say great job. You can highlight certain students in the class, either by name or anonymously, and call out their work as great. Explicitly really just telling them, you are good enough, you belong here, you are a right fit for college. Really explicitly telling them that. And they can't hear that enough. For many of them, they have imposter syndrome, and they're always doubting that their work is good enough, that they belong here. And so hearing that message over and over can really be impactful. Creating a partnership in which faculty and students work together to ensure success. So that can be things like checking in on students when you see that they've missed work or they have been absent from class, they haven't turned something in or they haven't checked in. Asking if they need help to complete something. So being proactive about those things, reaching out to students. Also, designing kind of group projects or small group or partner projects where they have to be responsible to each other in order to complete a task. And making some intentional steps to collaborate with tutorial, whether you use PASS or ETC or the WRC, to work together with those entities to create a larger partnership across the campus. Representing a range of racial, ethnic experiences and backgrounds and assignments, readings, and other materials. So this is, using course materials written by people of color, women, experts in the field, trying to be intentional about looking for different types of authors and different types of experts that you use. And then deconstructing. This is the hard one. This is the one that I have a hard time wrapping my head around. But I really think that I'm coming to the understanding of this is just these tiny little small chips in the wall that we have to just continually chip away at. Deconstructing this presentation of white students as the norm. So any, using these different like images or pronouns, different anecdotes, different examples that you can use and incorporate, and using those strategically to make students feel like they're insiders rather than making them feel like they're outsiders. Now, thinking about this, I mean, me taking like one little picture of, say, Dr. Cornell West and pairing it with a little quote of his and plopping it into my syllabus and on the side and a little, cute graphic. That's not going to magically make all of the black males in my class suddenly do really well in the class. That one little step. No. However, that step, that process of me putting that in my syllabus now makes me think about, the images that I'm choosing, who I'm representing, why I'm choosing these different images, these different examples, and what I'm saying overall to my students. And then over time, this is a process. Over time, my course will become more and more equitable as I'm able to make more and more of these changes. Okay, so that is a good 16 minutes of talking. Whew, that's a lot. So I think I need to cut that down, but we can talk about that. Okay, here is, I'll watch it back and see what I can cut out. Okay, here is the activity. So I will, I think maybe before, well, I don't know. We can talk about this. I don't know if I'm going to show them these questions before I let you guys go for it, or maybe I'll just give like a brief, like this is what we're going to do, because I do want them to be ready to talk about this, like kind of like paying attention, to take some notes, so that they'll pay attention to your presentations more. Okay, if you watched all 17 minutes of this, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, I'll see you all next week. Happy New Year.